So now I just want to take a moment to summarize the methods of solving quadratic equations that we've learned this chapter. So we can graph to give you a good visual of what's happening. However, you cannot always get exact solutions. Factoring is always a good method to try first. It's straightforward if it's factorable, but sometimes you cannot factor problems, so you can't use it all the time. Using the square root, it's quick to do when it has no x term. That's when b equals 0. But you cannot use it when b does not equal 0. Completing the square always works, but it's easier when b is even. And quadratic formula always works. You can always find exact answers, but one of these previous methods might be easier or less time consuming. So if I was looking at these three problems below, I'm going to determine which method or methods I would use and why. So first, looking at part A, I'm going to quickly see, can I factor? Two numbers that multiply to make 12 and add to make -8 are -6 and -2. So I would definitely solve by factoring as one method. And I see that b is even. So -8 over 2 squared is 16, pretty easy. So I could complete the square. And also, always, I could do the quadratic formula because I could just plug them in. Now, part B, the first method I could see is using square roots because b equals 0. I also could make this 169x squared minus 36 equals 0, and I could factor using a difference of squares. Other than that, quadratic formula is too big, and b over 2 squared wouldn't change anything. So last here on part C, first, a times c is -5. I need two numbers that multiply to make -5 and adds to make 13. So I cannot factor. And then 13 over 2 squared is pretty ugly, so I would not complete the square. So the only one I would do here is probably quadratic formula because I could just plug in and solve. So looking at each problem, sometimes I tell you what to do, but if I tell you to choose whatever method works best, you can decide between these different methods to see which one would work the best for each given problem.